Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Yeah, wow, it's Monday, post Rhinebeck. So I'm like a little bit, yeah, if you've been to Rhinebeck, tired, but also happy. It's like you had a big weekend and it was really fun, but you're also really tired. But you want to talk about how much fun you had, because I had so much fun. So if you went to Rhinebeck and I saw you, thank you so much for coming to say hi. I had a really good time. I got to hang out with the Woolly Thistle team. I feel like their field correspondent because maybe I'm not the one who lives I don't live the farthest, but I definitely I'm not in New England anymore, and so I'm kind of like one of the people who does not live in cold weather all the time. I feel like I'm in a completely different world sometimes. But yeah, we had a really nice time. I didn't go for like a full weekend. Instead of going on Thursday, I drove on Friday with Knittin' to the Hudson Valley, and we stayed like Friday and Saturday night. Went to Rhinebeck on Saturday and then drove home on Sunday. So it was nice, not too like massive of a trip, which was good. Didn't have to like miss too much stuff here. And yeah, I think the Woolly Thistle team went to like India Entangled and some other stuff on Friday. And they had a really nice time. So maybe I'll do that next year. If I feel like taking a little more time to be at Rhinebeck next year. But it was really fun to be there for the festival on Saturday. Saw lots of awesome people. Y'all came out to the meetup with the Woolly Thistle on the hill, which was great. And also we had a little meetup at the Bat and Kill booth where we were selling our Rambler yarn, which was fun, really fun. Lots of awesome people came up to say hi. So thanks so much for stopping by. So yeah, I will probably just like ramble a little bit as usual, and I'll show you what I got at Rhinebeck. So today, most of the stuff I got is spinning fiber, because that's just sort of what I do at Rhinebeck now. Actually, always. I've never bought yarn at Rhinebeck, probably. Yeah, because I mostly spin, so, well, I don't mostly spin. I knit a lot. The thing is that getting fiber produces yarn that I can knit eventually, so it is kind of like buying yarn, but not in the form of yarn yet. So I find that I like to buy fiber at Rhinebeck and Maryland Sheep and Wool, because it's an opportunity for you to actually touch different breeds of fiber, which is really cool. And you don't always get to like touch things and pick out your specific colors if you're getting something online. So yeah, I tend to just kind of save my fiber shopping for fiber festivals, sheep and wool festivals. And in the past, like especially when I was getting really into spinning a couple of years ago, I bought a lot of fiber at Rhinebeck, and a wheel actually once. A couple of years ago I bought a wheel. So yeah, I bought Thelma at Rhinebeck. So yeah, I found, I think at the beginning of my spinning journey, that it was helpful to like buy a lot of fiber so that I had stuff to spin and practice with. And I think, I felt like I needed to kind of build a stash of fiber, as I have obviously a large stash of yarn. There's also more of this on the other side of my camera. I have another set of cubes, but not this big. It's like half the size, and it's all like bins of bits and bobs. So I think I felt like I needed to kind of build a stash of fiber, and then, and now I feel as though that is kind of stable. I have kind of what I want to have on hand to play with at any given time, and I just kind of like it. Yeah, I can just kind of top it off. And so that's kind of what I did this year. I thought, in the past, it's a lot less expensive to buy just like naturally colored fibers at Rhinebeck. Like, let me just go grab my bag of undyed fiber so you can see. But they'll have like kind of just big things like this, for instance, is something. I didn't get any of these at Rhinebeck this year. These are these big loops from the sheep shed at Mountain View Farm. They always have a big booth in like one of these very specific buildings. It's like near all the barns, but it's like more closed than in the barns. Anyway, this is BFL in silk, and it's a half of a pound, and it's $20. So that's like a dyed braid of this that's half the size of this would probably be $30. So like this is a very good deal, but it's not dyed. So I frequently would get these, and then I would say I'll just dye them myself, and many I did. That is what I did with a lot of them. So yeah, there's just like a variety. Like there's a bag of Corriedale here that's just like, actually I think this is like still pretty greasy. I probably should wash it, because I think I've tried to spin this and I'm like, oh my gosh, that needs to be washed again. That's full of lanolin. It's nice, but that could be hit with some unicorn scour. And there's like, just sort of bags of things. This is a pound of white Shetland. This didn't come from Rhinebeck, but it's just the kind of thing you would get at Rhinebeck, like just big bag. This is from Laughing Lamb Fibers, turns out. But yeah, it's like big quantities for like not as much money, and it's naturally colored, so you can dye it yourself, which I often do and did. So it's fun. You know, last year I got a pound and a half of that Targhee that in those big loops, and I made it into things that look like these. And I dyed an entire pound and a half Targhee these colors. This sort of blue, almost space dyed, because I soaked the wool in citric acid before I heated it up and dyed it, so the dye didn't get absorbed as evenly, because I wanted it to be more fun. And now I'm spinning it, so this is super fun. If you haven't heard about this project, I am spinning for the Traveler hoodie by Andrea Mowry. And I probably already have almost enough to knit the whole hoodie, and I still have so much of this left. So that's really fun. I probably didn't need this quite this much, but I have quite this much. There's so much left still. So anyway, this year, because I'm really busy all the time, I haven't really got the time necessarily to kind of sit down and dye fiber in the way that I want to. I also have a much smaller kitchen, so you know, I could probably like get an outdoor setup going, but that's a lot of there's just a lot of like work to kind of set that up and get all the stuff I would need for. Like I have things, it would just be like, it'd be a big setup amount of work, and just kind of like general yeah, a lot. I'm finding it hard to find words because I'm exhausted. This was the case all weekend. I kept being like, I don't know what I need to tell you, but there's a word that I'm missing and I can't figure out what it is. Anyway, it's just from, you know, a lot going on in my brain all the time, I think, and doing a lot and having a lot to keep track of. But yeah, so I just don't really have the bandwidth to like have the energy to do the initial work to kind of get myself in shape for dyeing, because you know, I'm working, I'm running, I'm knitting, doing church music stuff. There's a lot going on. So I figured this year, instead of getting a ton of fiber, I would spend my money on dyed fiber that I didn't have to dye. Like I find it easy to just kind of sit down and spin. That's a very easy thing for me to do. So if the fiber is ready for me to do that, so great. That's so great. I'm so happy when that's the case. So I thought, you know, I'm going to make it easier on myself this year and do that. So I got some dyed fiber. So last week I probably showed that I was spinning this, or maybe had finished. I think I was not quite done yet, but this is finally done. This is a braid from Hello Yarn. They had a club. This was called Paint by Numbers, and actually the thing's on the ground, so I can tell you that it was Targhee, Bamboo Viscose, and Tezza Silk Top, 80-10-10. So, yep, Targhee, Bamboo, and Silk. Yeah, it's really shiny. It was really fun. I really enjoyed the colors in this, and I am spinning this for my Pressed Flowers cardigan, the background of which is a dark cobalt blue. It's back there somewhere. I showed it last time. But I really wanted to get some fiber that would go with this, and so I thought about dyeing one myself, like one 4-ounce braid myself, and then I just thought, no, I'm here. There's lots of stuff here. So I got one braid from Into the World, which is a great dyer. I think they're from upstate New York, but I actually don't know. They're always at Maryland Sheep and Wool in Rhinebeck, and this is the color that I got. It is called Merlin's Beard, and it is Kent Romney. I thought it was Falkland when I was spinning it, because I like didn't look at the bag, and I was like, I think this must be Corriedale, because it's really like, you know, Falkland. I just feel like it's too like, you know, it's too scratchy. This couldn't be Merino or Corriedale or Polworth or anything, but I don't really know what goes into the Falkland blend anyway. So anyway, this is not Falkland, it is Kent Romney. It has lots of fun colors. And I thought that the kind of greenish, blue, turquoisey things would gotta be like the thing that would tie them together. There's yellow in this, there's some purple. It's all gonna go together really in a fun way, I think. So this is what the bobbin of this looks like right now. I have done a lot of spinning of this already, actually. I spun this a bunch on Saturday night and then on Sunday night as well, and it's this morning a little bit as well. So those are fun, two fun things together. And I think the third bobbin will be this fiber from Feederbrook. I love Feederbrook. They are local to me in Maryland. And there was this bag of like teals and greens, and the green, since I thought that the green would be the thing that would tie all of this together, I thought that the teals and greens was a really good choice. There's some fun neon in this. It's BFL. It's really soft combed top. It's just like really nice, and it's fun, and I think it goes really well with this and with the other one, and it'll just make for like really fun blues and greens 3-ply fractal spin. So I'm really excited for this. So this will be the third bobbin, and then I'll get to plant them together, and then I'll have a fun yarn, and I can start knitting my pressed flowers, which I'm stoked about. So yeah, those were two of the things that I got. And then when I go to Rhinebeck, I always get fiber from this dyer who is called Spinner's Hill, and I've never actually met the woman who does the dyeing. I've always just met her friend Candace, who I remember every year. Her name is Candace. She always is the person who sells it to me. And I know she always tells me that she's not the dyer. Her friend is the dyer, but her friend is never at the table when I go to buy the fibers. So I got a few things from Spinner's Hill. I got this braid of Cheviot, which is really fun and very autumnal colors. Smells good. So I'm really excited about this one. I think this one may stay with itself. I might make like a fractal spun skein out of this. It's very like harvest, Thanksgiving, you know, kind of chilly fall vibes, pumpkin, you know, spices, whatever. It's a white girl fall color, and I am a white girl in the fall, so I like this, apparently. Not to be too stereotypical, but yeah. So I got that one, which they said is Cheviot. And then a lot of the fiber that she has is this mix of, it's a cross. It's Corriedale, Thin, and Rambouillet. So it looks like this. This one looks like this. And I've always bought this blend of fibers from her, and it spins up just like really, really, really beautifully. The only thing that I will say about Spinner's Hill is that sometimes it's not color fast, and I'm a little bit apprehensive about these colors because they're so different. So what I normally would do is actually I would wash the fiber before I spun it in an ideal world. But I'm worried that the dye would come out in the bath, and then I would put vinegar or citric acid in, and it would be soaked up into the wrong parts of the skein. Or the wrong parts of the braid, and it would kind of get muddled. So I'm not sure what to do yet. I mean, one solution is just you can use a color catcher. I'm not sure how well that would work, but I could also just like, you know, make the skein, soak it very briefly in water, like get it wet, but not let it sit in the water to like let the other parts of it absorb dye. And then I could, you know, knit with it, and then again, just really quick soak for blocking so it's not sitting in the water for a long time. So that could help as well. So this is one of the colorways I got of the Spinner's Hill mix. Her name is Lisa Ann Marianne. There you go. spinnershill.com. They do have a website. So these are called hand-dyed crazy balls. And I like them because they only cost $2.50 an ounce, which is very reasonable price. And the other color is this one. Same blend. They don't have names. That's what I was about to say. They do not have names, the blends of colors. But this has got like a dark teal. It's got this kind of greenish brown, and then it has the bright orange. And there's lots of white spots on this one too. And I think this one's really fun. I'm a very big fan of this. I think it's great. So again, not totally sure how to get around the color leakage that I've found in the past, but I do have a hand spun skein of this blend if you want to see it up close that I did from last year, which I really like. It might take me a second to find it in here. But I know that it exists. Oh boy, there's just like a lot of hand spun, which is a good problem to have. And sometimes I do this and I see all the hand spun and I'm like, ooh, that's nice. I should use that. Like this purple Corriedale cross I did last year. I applied this on my birthday last year, on my 30th birthday. This BFL that I got at Woolen Folk last year. Super fun. This is my first woolen spun skein. This is, I think, Coopworth that I got a few years ago, a couple of years ago maybe, at Maryland Sheep and Wool or something. Archie from 2020, or, well, I spun this in 2023. This is when Molly and I got Archie's fleece for the first time. And this is the skein I was looking, no, it's not. This is the skein I was looking for. Big chonker of a skein. Look at that, it's super shiny. It's really pretty. Yeah, there's a lot of hand spun in here. I should probably knit with it. I mean, I do knit with my hand spun. Quite a lot, actually. I try really hard to use it, but even so, it just seems to build. It builds and it builds and it builds. You can never get rid of it as fast as you think that you can, or you will. Okay, there's some blue targhee. Just grabbed that from outside the other day from being washed. This is a skein I just kind of decided to make on the fly last week. I think it's pretty. Kind of fun. Very pink. But yeah, that's kind of the main dyed fiber I got. And then I decided to buy a fleece because I wanted one. I didn't know if I really had the capacity to process a fleece, but I thought, you know what, I really want to. That's something I really want to do right now. So I'm gonna get a fleece if I can find one that I like. So I did not go early to the fleece sale. I went around like noon. It was like lunchtime. So it was a good time to go because it wasn't that busy and people had come and they'd gotten all the ones that they wanted. But the fleeces at Rhinebeck are really nice. They're all like scored and checked and skirted and everything. So I wasn't worried that I would get like a low quality fleece or something. I didn't actually know what to expect at all because I've never bought a fleece at Rhinebeck before. So I ended up getting a small Shetland fleece that was just like 2 pounds. And it is brown. So it's kind of, there's a variety of colors of this brown on the Shetland sheep. His name or her name, I think I'm going to call this one a girl, I've just decided, is Teeny, which I think is super cute. It's got a nice lock here. You can see. A lot of it is crimped, but some of it is not crimped. But it's got a nice good staple of a few inches. That's like a 3 or 4 inch staple. That's not bad. But you can see that some of it is not curly and crimped like that. Some of it is just, well, this is the cut end and that's the tip. So I'm not sure how this will process up. I'm excited to see. I've washed some of it. I put a big amount of it in the pot last night and I washed it up. And yeah, it came out pretty clean. I think I got most of the lanolin and it's not too lanolin-y actually, but I think I got most of the dirt out. I did a pre-soak So I just like put a bunch of it in a bucket of water and like soaked it for a little bit. And that was really filthy. Like it was really, really quite brown, and it was just dirt, you know, and like a little bit of fecal matter probably. It is an animal, that's normal and, you know, expected. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of, it definitely needed to be cleaned. I mean, of course it did. It came off of an animal that lives on a farm, but it is nice. It cleaned up well. The lanolin came out, not too bad at all. And I made a mistake and didn't like wrap it in a towel or like put it directly into the sun to dry. So if I had done that last night, I probably would have been able to start combing it and processing it today. But I just like let it soak kind of under something, or just sit outside under something, and it did not even get close to dry. So I will wash more tonight and actually rub that in a towel. It's going to be really, really warm this week and not going to rain at all. So I will definitely be able to get that fleece dry, which is good. But yeah, there's like silvery gray bits and some like lighter brown bits, and the tips are different colors, of course, because they're kind of bleached by the sun, you can see. So that was really fun. I also met Teeny's farmer. She was looking around at her fleeces that she'd bought, or that she'd brought. She has all Shetlands, I think. Yeah, and I had a really good time walking around the fleece sale. I was talking to a woman named Katie who was working there, and she was kind of trying to like sell me on some like nicer, bigger fleeces. And I was like, these are really nice, but like I just started learning process wool and I'm having a really good time with it. But I don't think I'm quite like, you know, I want to make sure that when I start processing a really nice fleece, I really know what I'm doing. And you learn so much when you process your own fleece. Like you learn about the different types of fleece that you like, how crimpy you want it, how puffy you want it, things like that. You learn about the washing process. This is the first fleece. Well, I did get Pimp Daddy last year, and Pimp Daddy was like gray, but this Archie is white. So this is not a white fleece. This is a very multicolored fleece. So I'm going to learn about that. You know, it's a Shetland, so I'm very familiar with this breed, generally speaking, in terms of like a lot of the qualities of the wool and the different colors you can find and sort of the like things you could use it for. But I've never, I've never washed it and combed it, and I've spun it, and I've obviously knit a lot with Shetland, but I think this is going to be a really fun project, and it's going to be manageable because I only got a 2-pound fleece. Like that's one of the things that I told this woman, Katie. I said, Katie, I'm just trying to get it to focus on the fleece. Sorry. Not my face, but actually I'm not blocking my face. There we go. There we go. Now you can really see the crimp and the shine. It's very shiny. It's got a really good sheen to it. So yeah, and again, there's a lot of different, you know, parts of this fleece that are probably going to behave differently. That was the case with Archie. That was the case with Pimp Daddy too. You know, to see what kind of combing it needs, you know, how many passes will it need. Every sheep is different. And so I think just kind of learning that and going into this experience, if you're going to process wool, understanding that every single fleece is going to be different and every single experience is going to be different, and you're going to get better and learn a little more every time you do it. I think that's a really good way to look at this. This is a learning experience. So I want to have a fleece that is manageable for me, a manageable size, and a fiber that I'm a little more comfortable working with. It's not super different from Archie. And you know, I know a lot of things about how to comb, how to wash, and all that stuff now because I've done it. But this is one of those things that I feel like I'm going to be learning for my whole life. So, you know, I know that I need to put the cut end in the closest to the tine, and the tip side has to go out like that. And that's how you comb it. I know that, but you know, there's a lot you can know in theory, and that a lot you cannot learn from the theory. You have to learn by doing it. Like, you know, I had 2 students today who I actually talked to about this. I said, you know, we're discussing the fact that they were struggling a little bit with chemistry, and I said to both of them, and I say this all the time, like, you know, when you took your driver's test, you had to practice driving a car so that then you could get licensed to drive a car. You didn't just read a book about driving a car and then show up to your driver's test and drive perfectly. And you didn't think that you never think that you could have done that. Like, you know, that's just not, we all know that we actually have to learn how to do a skill before we can then prove that we can do that skill so that we can have the license to do that thing or whatever, you know? So we get credentials and all this things like that. So same thing with wool and spinning. Like I really would love to get a really beautiful merino fleece or something, or Cormo merino cross or whatever, CVM, I don't know, something really cool. But until, you know, I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I definitely know what I'm doing, and I know that I'll be able to treat this fleece with like the absolute skill and respect that it deserves. I want to practice with something that's like a little bit more familiar to me and a little bit like, you know, just, I think, I don't want to say lower stakes, because it's all kind of the same, and fleeces all cost money, and we should all pay farmers, you know, a fair price and all that stuff. But like, this feels something like something I can kind of wrap my head around, I guess, this Shetland fleece, this little one, teeny. So I'm excited to go on this journey with, I guess I've decided it's with her. See how different it is from Archie. See how similar it is to Archie. See how, you know, what happens when I spin this and dye it. And maybe I won't dye any of this. Maybe I'll dye some of this in the nestlets that I make from processing it instead of dyeing the hand spun yarn itself, you know? I'm interested to see where this one goes. See how much, okay, so it's like a 2-pound fleece. Like how much yarn does this make when it's done, or how much processed wool does this make, you know? How much can I get out of a fleece like this? Like what's the, you know, the rate of return, I guess, on a fleece, you know, by pound or something. And this type of fleece might be different from another type of fleece that I eventually use. So I just find that, I mean, we should all always explore the things that make us want to learn more. Like we should always let ourselves be curious about things. And so I feel very grateful to have a lot of natural curiosity about this, because it's something that I can control. I can go get fleece and I can do this thing. And it's just like, I can do it in my house and I can create something that is kind of amazing. And, you know, it's not going to be perfect, but after a while, you know, if I continue to do it, you get better, and it becomes more like of an art form and a really interesting skill. Like, you know, knitting became that for me, and spinning is becoming that for me. And I'm excited to get more into fleece processing. So yeah, I'm really excited about Teeny. Oop, dropping locks here. It's because I keep pulling them out to show you, because it's so pretty. I'm so excited about it. Yeah, so yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else to show, because I mean, I did a little bit of knitting at Rhinebeck. I was knitting on my Archie pullover, the green, neon green Fiola sweater, but I actually don't know where that is. I think it's downstairs. So I am not going to show it to you because it's not here. And yeah, like I was traveling a lot, so didn't even really have time to like think a whole lot about knitting and all that stuff. But I have more things in my head now. I always feel like I come away from Rhinebeck with a lot of like things in my head, like, oh, I want to knit that, I want to work on that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And so I have a few things in my head. I do. And I'm excited to hopefully bring them to fruition. We'll see. Sometimes they eventually don't turn into solid thoughts and they just fly away. And sometimes they sit and percolate and I think, oh, I should do that. So it's hard to predict and plan the way that my brain will go with knitting and with anything really. And I think that's okay. You know, knitting is a goal-directed hobby, but I try not to plan too far out with knitting anymore, because I find that making plans is really fun, and thinking about, you know, how to get from point A to point B is a great exercise, but oftentimes we change our minds. Like in 2 years, I'm not going to be the same person, and I'm going to want to do something different with that yarn, and so I'll be glad that I saved it or something, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be glad that I could let go of the idea of what that yarn had to be, maybe, something like that. So it's kind of beautiful, you know, we just kind of, to let life kind of take us where it needs to. And, you know, to have an element of control is important, obviously, but also I think I've become a lot happier as a person, you know, since I became someone who just kind of like, I feel okay not knowing, you know, what I'm going to be like in 5 years and the things that I'm going to want to do and all that stuff. So I make sure that I can do all the things I want to do. I think I have a pretty good handle on that, but I like to let myself explore new things. Like, you know, I don't think that 5 years ago I would have necessarily thought that I would be processing fleece. What was 5 years ago? It's like 2019. I was still in grad school in 2019. I was very different then. Even when I started this channel, which was almost 4 years ago now, I was very different, I think. Although I'd left grad school at that point, so I think I was more the person I am now. Although I was working as a nanny, that was very different. So, yeah, I think, again, 5 years ago, I don't think I thought I would be processing fleece or training for a marathon, but life has a way, and you know what? That's okay. I'm really happy doing those things, and so I hope that me 5 years ago would be proud and like, you know, interested to know how different I am in the things that I choose to be curious about, I guess. So yeah, I haven't even been reading and watching that much stuff lately because again, it was kind of a big week. Reading, not really reading. I'm still chugging through Little Women and listening to a lot of podcasts. And I am watching, Bake Off. I did start watching Bake Off and I'm not quite caught up. I'm on Caramel Week, which is episode 4. I don't know how many episodes there are so far, but this might be the latest one. I don't know yet. I'm about to continue spinning this Merlin's Beard Fiber. I'd like to probably finish that tonight. And I'm going to keep watching Bake Off. So yeah. And I'm going to keep knitting my green sweater. The body, I think, is getting to pretty close. It's pretty close to being done. And the little purple hat that I was working on, I'm actually probably almost done with that because I knitted a lot on that one when Nitin was driving the other day. So I kind of needed that to just like focus and sit down and like really kind of get through that to really get some of that done. So that's good that I did. Yeah, you can probably tell I'm pretty just tired. While we were in Rhinebeck, we weren't staying in Rhinebeck. We were staying in a place called Hillsdale, which is in the Berkshires. So very close to the Massachusetts border. So I was in my training plan had a 20-miler on Saturday, and I was like, no, that's not happening at all. So I thought, I may have said this already, but I thought I should just break it into 2 10s or 2 whatever. So it's the 18 to 20 mile run. So I was like, okay, well, between 18 and 20 miles over the whole weekend would be good. So I did 9 miles on Saturday morning, and I found a back road. Excuse me, that was really close to the house where I was staying with the Woolly Thistle team. It was really nice. It wasn't like an abandoned road. It was like dirt for a while, and then it turned into paved, and it became more residential. But it was definitely like in the boonies. It was very rural, so and very hilly. So when I went out on Sunday morning or Saturday morning, it was like 6 a.m. So I had my lighted vest on with my big like headlamp. It's a chest lamp, I guess, because it's like in the middle of your chest to like be able to see. But because it was pitch black, I had no idea that I was going uphill. And it was a very shallow grade hill. It was not a steep hill, so it was hard for me to tell I was going uphill. And like the times I was hitting, like I was like, 12 something minute miles, and I was like, well, that's pretty like normal for me in the dark, because most people naturally run slower in the dark because they can't see. And so they naturally slow down just because like it's just like a thing that your body just does because you're not really sure where your foot's gonna land. So I didn't realize it was uphill, and then I was working hard, and then it started to get lighter, and then I came down a huge hill, like a hill that lasted like a mile, and part of it got very steep, and I was like, oh no, that means I'm gonna have to come back up that, which I did, and I had to walk a little bit, and then I kind of came, but then I noticed at the very end that the last entire 3 miles was just, you know, a really easy breezy downhill, like not a steep downhill that hurts your legs, just a really nice one that just kind of lets you fly. So I actually had a really nice run on Saturday morning, and on Sunday Nitin came with me. We ran for a little bit longer, 9.5 miles I think, and it was like 2 hours in total. And I didn't feel quite as tired as I thought I would, but I definitely was lagging like a little bit, and that was okay. Nitin and I don't usually run on hills, and so, you know, it was pretty good. We were fine. It was hard to do it again on Sunday, but I'm glad I did it. And then I went and ran this morning as well for about 70 minutes. So a lot of running in the last 2 days, like 3 days, I guess, a lot, and more tomorrow morning. So I'm really getting into the peak of my training right now. And it is, I think I'm ready because I did a big cut last week. I felt really good. I had a lot of energy. I was like thinking about this yesterday when we were driving back, and I was, you know, I was like, wow, I'm not like feeling antsy and annoyed to be driving. I'm just kind of like really happy to be sitting down, even just driving or like sitting in the passenger seat. I was like, wow, this is great. And on Friday, when I had a very easy running week, and that was also a rest day, I was kind of like amped up, and I was like, oh, this is a lot nicer when I'm just exhausted to sit down. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to peak. 2 more weeks until taper, so it's going to be a big week. And then I'm racing a 5K on Saturday, which I really don't like doing, but you know, I did this like wine 5K in York, Pennsylvania with a couple of friends for one of their birthdays in July, and I won, and I was like, oh, it's fun, nice boost. Also, it was really hot that day, and I still won. And I like, you know, ran like a 25-35K or something, which is not my personal best, but that is pretty fast for me. So I was like, wow, you know, after 12 weeks of marathon training and the end of October temperatures, how fast can I do that 5K? So I kind of want to just have a fitness check. I mean, I'm not going to go to the well, because then I would kind of ruin myself for like the mile repeats I then have to do the following Tuesday, and like the 20-mile run the next weekend. So I'm not going to go crazy. But I think I'm gonna try to run pretty fast. I don't think I'm gonna try for a PR, although I'm quite sure that I could do it if I decided to like do a little taper this week and then go like really hard on Saturday morning. It would suck, but I think I could do it. The question is like, do I really want to? Probably not. So I think I'm gonna take it not easy, but you know, maybe just like shoot for sub 25. We'll see. Maybe I'll go at my interval pace and see if I can hold my interval pace for 5K. I should be able to, because it's supposed to be my 5K pace. But I'm quite sure that I could, in theory, run a 5K faster than that, just because the temperature is dropping. And again, my fitness is built up quite a lot right now. So not like this all the time. I'm not trying to brag, but I am proud of my fitness right now and how I was able to do those 2 huge hill kind of runs the last 2 days and still get up this morning and run for an hour and 10 minutes. I thought that was fun, and my legs felt heavy, but I was definitely able to do it. And yeah, I feel like I went to work today, I had plenty of energy, so I'm a little tired now, but on the whole, I feel pretty good about where I'm at. So anyway, I guess that's that. Wish I had more knitting to show you, but I haven't. It's just not here, and I'm still working on the same stuff. I swatched a little bit with some DK weight Shetland wool that I want to make a Svensson sweater with. I think I might have talked about this last week. I swatched, but it was too big, and so I think I might have said this too. I just need to wait till I'm done the body of my Fiola sweater so I can use the needles for the pink one. But hopefully, like, if I get my head around this spinning, you know, I'll be able to knit my pressed flowers pretty soon, actually. So that'd be cool if I can kind of, I've been just blazing through this Romney, so then it's just time for the BFL, and then I will be all ready to ply, which is my favorite part of spinning, because it's so fun when you ply multiple colors together. So yeah, I think that's that. Thank you so much for watching. Excuse me, and saying hi if I saw you this weekend. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye.